Hello everybody, my name is Leo and today I'm going to talk more about Fire Emblem Echoes. Now unfortunately, instead of hyping this game up or talking about all the upsides, I am unfortunately going to be talking about all the downsides about Echoes and everything that I think just makes it not that great of a game, and otherwise would screw it over in the video where I could pit Echoes against Fates against Awakening. If you want to check that out, that's in the channel. I might put a link in the description down below, so definitely check it out before you watch this one, because Echoes may or may not win. But let's discuss some of the former problems with Echoes. Now, keep in mind that this is mainly just my opinion, and there are things that, and these things that I'm going to mention are just things that I found wrong with Echoes. There might be other things in the game that you find wrong with Echoes that I found just fine, so things that you think are wrong probably may or may not be on here. But again, this is my personal opinion, and I am a totally different person than who you are. Trust me, I am. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, I think I'll start off with one of the most obvious problems I have with Echoes, if you see my Let's Play of it so far, the support conversations. Now, I'm not going to say Echoes is the worst in supports, and I'm not going to say I hate the supports. There are some really good ones out there, but there are some awful ones I don't really care for and feel like didn't even need to be in the game in the first place. Faye and Silk. If you know what I mean. To be honest, I don't even know what their, decision process was on making some of the sports. Because while some of the sports I agree with and are actually really entertaining to read and listen to, there are other sports that I don't care for and also don't make sense at the same time. Like, for an instance, Faye can support with Silk, this new cleric girl that comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden wants to be Faye's friend, but she can't support with anyone from the village that she grew up in as friends with. She can't support with Gray, can't support with Tobin, and can't support with Cliff. 3 characters who all grew up with her in the same village and seem to have a deep connection. Maybe not deep, but at least some kind of friendship in the time they spent together in the village. And why wouldn't they? They spent their entire lives in the village. So tell me, how can Faye, who spent her whole life in a village with these 3 dudes, can't support with any of them, but can support with this random cleric that comes out of nowhere that she doesn't even like at first and doesn't even want to talk to? Like, there's no general interest from Faye, it's just from Silk. Now, I can go on and on and on about certain things that bother me. The fact that Saber can't support with anyone from the very beginning, except a mercenary called Jesse for some reason. Yeah, that was good job. But, to be honest, supports aren't all that bad. I don't really think supports are great, and I don't think they'll have the best supports in the game, ever. But I don't think that they're so terrible that they're easily forgotten. There are some minor supports that I do like, but I just don't love. But it just bothers me sometimes when I see 2 characters who would be perfect for supporting with each other, and overall should support with one another, given their backstory and chemistry through what the game suggests already, but we never get to see more of that because the game doesn't take the time to put in these other support conversations. So that's just problem 1 I have with Echoes. Let's discuss problem 2. Alright, so this one's a bit more unique and interesting compared to the other one. While it's not as, actually, I think it's more obvious. To be honest, I'm going to be straight with you guys. The Echoes map designs are just, I don't like them whatsoever. It's not that they have bad map designs or the maps aren't cool or anything, but when you reuse the exact, and I mean exact same map, I know, I looked through it, just with different enemies and lineups, that's really boring. And other games like Fire Emblem Awakening and Fire Emblem Fates, you had so many different diverse maps that even if someone hated this game for these specific maps, they would have at least one map that they really liked or enjoyed doing. But Echoes, it's so different from it. Because now all of a sudden, these maps look almost completely identical to the other one. It's like, hey, we have the same map. Hey, we have the same map again. It's the same map again and 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 again. that gets like so boring. It's so stupid. It's like, hey, all right, guys. Oh god, battle in Sophia was tough. Let's go over here. Wait, aren't we in Rigel? I thought this place was supposed to be cold and snowy. Why does this place look exactly like Sophia? No reason. Shit, guys, they're on to us! See what I mean? The maps don't change, and even the ones that you do change are either very basic or are just douchebags to you. Not all maps are like that, and I do generally like them, but I just don't love them. And to be honest, they weren't as fun to play. I do like playing Echoes, and I have a lot of fun doing it, but after playing the same map again, it's just so like, did you just half-ass these ideas, or were you actually trying on the game? It seems almost as lazy as Fates at that point. Alright, so the next one, I'll admit, isn't an overall problem with Echoes or ruin its gameplay or its story. It's just something that I wish happened, but didn't. Now, in the original Gaiden, Alm had a specific choice to recruit some units and not recruit others. This led a way for when Celica comes into the game, she can recruit the units that Alm left behind, able for you to get so much replayability, and just be able to, like, really take control and, like, really manage your teams. It was also, I always thought that would be like so interesting if they put it in this Echoes now, so that Alm is forced to use just like, so you could force Alm to use more story based units that Alm has to get, but Cell can get a whole new cast of units, so you can mix up the parties a little bit, get a little bit of like variety and difference in them, especially considering that fact that Alm can use 4 villagers while Celica can only use 1. But they don't really do this except with Cliff and Faye. And to be honest, Cliff and Faye aren't all that strong at the beginning, which means you're going to have to go through grinding, and I am not the biggest fan of grinding. Really, I feel like there could have been done better with anything else. Imagine if you could get, like, other characters like Python, or even Silk there. You could have, like, more clerics, another archer early on, and that's always going to help you out. But Faye and Cliff aren't that bad as well, so I don't mind them being here as well. But I just don't like the idea of having to grind them up so much just to get them on par with us. It's like, hey, let's go all the way back to Ram Village and recruit these 2 people who are almost useless at that point. If anything, I feel like they should have like higher levels at this point because some time's gone by, and it's shown that Cliff does train. I mean, he scorched Alm's house once with magic, so why wouldn't he be a higher level? Like, he's practicing magic, or as it's emphasized in the game, yes, Cliff practices magic, so why wouldn't he be stronger? Like, if he's clearly shown to be training with Alm and his friends. But what do I know? I'm stupid, apparently. It's not really something that's a problem with Echoes, it's just something that I wish happened. But hey, you can't get everything you want, right? Alright, so the next problem I have with Echoes, I'm going to let out an official spoiler warning, because it does have to do with one of the bosses in Echoes game. So if you do not wish to receive spoilers for Echoes, if you have not, because you haven't beaten it yet, you haven't seen it on your Let's Play you're watching yet, or if you just don't care about it and you just randomly got here all of a sudden, so, spoilers, watch out. But anyways, I'm not going to say that this fight is technically bad, but I don't like the fact in the final battle, and this is like really nitpicking right here, I don't like the fact that in the final battle that Rudolph can't attack Alm. Now, why would I dislike that? The battle with Rudolph is definitely one of my favorites in the entire game. As a matter of fact, I think it is my favorite, because there isn't that much bullshit in it, and as a matter of fact, I don't think there's any real bullshit thing in it. It caused me to really use strategic methods and tactics against Rudolph and his army, and it was so much fun going up to Rudolph and finally getting ready to fight him. But when the actual fight with Rudolph came, it was just underwhelming. The fact that Rudolph wouldn't attack Alm, and just refused to attack Alm, made the fight so much more easy. It was like, I made it all the way to the end, and I had to fight my way to earn my way over here, but now that I'm fighting you, I basically just get handed the victory. It's so bittersweet. To be honest, I don't really like when that happens in Fire Emblem. Even if Rudolph is your father, he's supposed to teach his kingdom about strength. How does it look when the king just dies because he's just like, oh, I'm not going to fight back against my son because my son, so why should I? It's like, but dude, like, you're the king and you're trying to teach people to be strong. What, should they just give up to Alm because he's a prince? And besides, almost no one knows that right now, and your men don't know that, and you clearly told your men, hey, if I die, don't keep going, don't just stop fighting right there. So it's shown that he's a good person and very merciful, but at the same time, he's just giving up. He just gave up to Alm. He was just like, hey, Alm, you can just kill me, it's fine. And then it was so much easier to pick him off with other units because he can't attack from multiple places. And I don't even know if he could attack us from the first place, which really just makes the game just so much more underwhelming than it really needed to be. Or at least the final boss fight with Rudolph more underwhelming than it needed to be. I get that Alm is Rudolph's son, and I get that he wouldn't want to hurt Alm, but at the same time, I would have understood it as just as much if he just said, you did well, Alm. This battle was to test you. And Alm could have just, like, suspected, that's why you weren't fighting as hard as you could have, or something like that. They did the exact same thing in Fates, and I don't mind it. Sure, they nerfed Xander incredibly hard, but they didn't have to do it with Rudolph. I could have still probably beaten Rudolph even if he did attack me. I just had to, like, think more strategically. But now that it's like, I fought so hard to get all over here to fight this boss that won't even fight back. It's so underwhelming, and I feel like it doesn't need to be that way. I don't think anyone's gonna flip their shit if Rudolph just starts attacking you all of a sudden. But to be honest, this is more, again, it's kind of like the last thing where it's more of a wish thing that I wish happened, and not a general problem with the game that overall makes it worse in my opinion. But it's something that bothers me about a final boss fight that you go and then the boss doesn't even attack you. It feels like you're not earning it. It's like, who wants to fight a boss who doesn't fight back? Overall, that just makes me feel like a guilty son of a bitch because I'm beating up this guy who doesn't even want to fight me in the first place. Like, seriously, I'd rather make someone forcibly surrender than do something like that. It's just so boring and anticlimactic, but I guess overall it doesn't technically ruin Echoes, it just makes it more underwhelming. Now this one is going to be my last and final point about Echoes, and to be honest, this one isn't as bad as the other ones. Again, to be honest, I like Echoes, and I don't have overall all that many problems with it, but no game is perfect in my opinion, and this is just another thing that I found was wrong that could have been better. And that is Echo's aftergame. Not that the aftergame is bullshit or too hard, but I feel like it's like one of those instances where you don't know what to do unless you look it up somehow. Now, to be honest, I feel like there should have been some kind of reference to the aftergame saying, you can go to Arcana. Now sure, they somewhat show that you can look over the map, and sure, Est, Pala, and Catria all come from Arcania, but it's not like at any point in the game they tell you, hey, you can go to Arcania soon. Now, without the now, since there are ships out there, you can kind of guess that, yes, I can go to Arcania, so it's not completely hidden or bullshit, but at the same time, no one's really telling you it, and it's kind of like if you don't look it up on the internet, you're gonna kind of have to guess about it yourself, which is what happened to me. Unless there is some reference on how to go to Arcania in some point in the game that I might have missed, this is just something that kind of bothers me, and I don't like when games do this. When they don't tell you specifically what you need to do, and it's kind of like one of those things that come like after the game's over, there's more to do, but there's no real reference to an after game, especially in a game like Fire Emblem, where usually the after games that I'm used to aren't really continuations. It's just like you beat the game and you can re-fight the final boss over and over and over again. So for Echoes to have this new and sudden after game out of the blue like this kind of took me for a surprise, because I don't remember any mentions of it anywhere in the game, and I don't know how to unlock it. Now again, this is just personal problems that I had with it, but maybe all of you didn't and just were way smarter than me, which you probably are. As a matter of fact, you most certainly are. I'm not that smart. So, I don't know, maybe it's just my problems, but who knows, maybe someone else had a problem with this as well. Anyways, everybody, that's going to do it for this episode of Fire Emblem Echoes and everything I think that makes Echoes bad. So, overall, Echoes is still a very good game. It has an awesome story. I love almost all characters, and I can't really think of any characters that I outright hate or dislike, unlike certain characters from other games. Sure, while I've said some characters were underwhelming, I never said there's a character out there that I plain just didn't liked or wanted to kill. I'm looking at you, Iago and Hans. But yeah, those are just my personal opinions on things I thought was wrong with Echoes. So what did you guys think? Do you think I was right? Do you think I was wrong? Do you think I'm an idiot for saying Echoes is wrong at all? Do you think I'm an idiot for saying that Echoes has any merit at all? What are your personal thoughts on Echoes? Are you enjoying it? Do you hate it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it mediocre? Or is it just the game you were looking for, finally from Fire Emblem or Intelligent Systems? Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this episode, and as always, take care.